Hello, my name is Jesston Williams, and I'm going to share my intuition experiences with you today. So I first discovered that I had the gift of intuition, I'd say probably sometime in my 20s. I visited a psychic several times, and one of the very first times I met with her, she told me that I was psychic. And at the time, I just thought, okay, I had never, experienced or thought of myself as being a psychic, but then I did think back to a few occasions before I connected with her where things would just come to me and I would realize that I was correct about it. For example, I remember one time I told this friend of mine that her pregnant sister was just rushed to the hospital because her water broke and she was about to have her baby. And come to find out, probably about 45 minutes after speaking with her, she called me excited saying, "Oh my goodness, you were right. My sister is in labor now at the hospital." So that was, I would say, my first experience thinking, wow, there's something going on here. I didn't quite understand it. That was probably, 15 years ago. And I never thought much about it. But, fast forward to 2020, during the situation that was going on in the world, I was laid off from my job and went on a transformation, somewhat of a spiritual journey, if you will. And I started doing intermittent fasting. I also cut meat out my diet as well, red meat, and I started doing a plant-based diet. And the one thing that really changed my world forever, if you will, is meditating. I started doing a meditation called the Gateway Experience, which is a guided meditation using binaural beats. It's hemisync. And what hemisync meditation is, it's when you listen to binaural beats, two different wavelengths or sound lengths going to each ear while you wear like earbuds or headphones, and it syncs the left and right brain hemisphere and creates another wavelength. So what it does, it causes laser focused concentration. And this was a technique or a meditation developed by a man named Robert Monroe back in the 70s. During the Gateway Experience, you have an out-of-body experience where your spirit travels to the astral realm. But again, meditation changed my life. I started doing that and I started having these out-of-body experiences. One thing that I really, really noticed was that my clairvoyance, my intuition really went to another level. I would start to just receive downloads and receive information before it happened. I was able to connect with someone on Facebook as well, and I started reading for this group. I also participated in the Ayahuasca ceremony as well, where I went to Tucson in the desert for 3 nights, and I was able to participate in this ceremony. The shaman and his crew was about 30 or 40 of us. And I tell you what, that was a life-changing experience as well. And ever since that happened, my gift of intuition went to a higher level. So it caused me to become more confident in my readings and being aware. I am now able to help others. That is what I use my gifts for. It's been an amazing experience. I really look forward to what the future holds for me, being that I have this gift of intuition, and just a great experience. So I recall February of this year, I had an experience. Now, I typically meditate at night. My sacred space, usually around 11 p.m., maybe midnight, felt the need to go meditate. And I had this, and I was laying in the bed, I had just awakened, and I had this voice, if you will, drop in my spirit. And the voice said, "Go into your closet, go into your sacred space for meditation." And I ignored it. And I thought to myself, why? I don't meditate in the morning. I do it at night. And so I just continued to lay in my bed. The energy just got stronger and stronger. I said, "Go into your closet, go into your sacred space." And at that point, after a few minutes of ignoring it, I knew I had to listen. A voice dropped in my spirit and said, "You're going to Utah." And I just thought that was so weird, going to Utah. So I said, okay, I'm in for a wild ride, I guess. So I began my gateway meditation. And after about 15 or 20 minutes into the meditation, I'm taken to a place where it was cold and snowy. And I was at a lake, a guy standing at the lake, naked, cold and crying. So I went up to him and I asked him what was wrong. We then began to communicate. Now, I wasn't there in my physical body, I was there in spirit. And he told me that he was going to commit suicide. He said he didn't know how to swim and he was going to jump into this lake. And I started to panic and get nervous. So I did my best to talk him out of it. And it was a hard thing to do. We were going back and forth, and he was in that moment. I knew he was cold and freezing. I was able to transfer the warm energy from my spirit onto him. And that made him warm, and that helped. And then we continued just communicating. And then with the meditation that I was listening to, the Gateway Experience, at the end of the meditation, Robert Monroe, he comes back on, so I hear his voice. And at that point, I knew the meditation was about to end. Now, at some point during my communication with the guy, I had him call the police because I knew I wasn't going to be able to help him. And then I remember right before the end of the meditation, I remember seeing the police come, and it was sirens, several cop cars. So I thought to myself, oh, thank God he's safe. And then I was back in my body. Fast forward 2 weeks later, a good friend of mine, he called me. He said, Jesston, I have this guy that I want you to mentor. He's been going through some things, and I really believe that you would be a great service to him. And I said, okay. So he connects us. We linked up. We did a Zoom call because this guy, he lives in Washington State. As soon as we got on the call, it was the guy I saw at the lake. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And I didn't want to ask him, like, were you at a lake? I was like, I'm just going to keep it to myself. So him and I are talking probably once or twice a week. And my other friend who connected us, he took it upon himself to tell this guy, he said, hey, Jesston, I believe he saw you at some point where you were at a lake. I talked to the young man that I've been mentoring. He goes, hey, Keith told me that we may have met prior to us actual meeting on Zoom. And that kind of caught me off guard. I said, yeah, because I didn't know how he was going to react. We stopped in Utah at a lake, and things got really crazy. He said in that moment, I was going to end it all. He said there was something or someone there that I was communicating with. And then I almost just dropped to the floor. My mouth was to the floor. I was like, wow, he remembered the experience as well. And he is really stepping into his purpose. And it was just such a unique experience that I had never had before. And it was just amazing how during meditation, I was able to go and be with him and help him. And then 2 weeks later, link up with him in person, and everything that I experienced, he confirmed. It was just amazing. I remember I had an experience with my wife. We embraced, we were hugging. And this was just not a hug where we embraced for like 5 seconds. We embraced probably for a solid 3 to 5 minutes. My eyes were closed, her eyes were closed, and I saw two spirits. These spirits merged. And then I felt us being uplifted as well. Even though we were standing on the ground, it was as if we were being elevated. And then after 3 to 5 minutes, we released from hugging. And then I was so excited about the vision I had, I wanted to share it with her, but then she started to speak. And then the spirit spoke to me and said, no, just listen to what she has to say. And she said, wow. And I said, what? She was like, I felt something. I was like, yeah, I felt something too. We merged. I said, oh my goodness, that is exactly what I saw. What I saw, she felt. It was the most amazing thing. It was just a phenomenal vision. Then I started to learn about telepathy as well. And so I tried to experiment with my wife. We got real quiet. We held hands. And before we started the process, I told her, just think about anything. I'm going to try to read your mind. And I'm going to see if I can pick up on it. So we held hands. I closed my eyes. I took several deep breaths. And then pizza popped in my mind, of all things. And I said, then I opened my eyes. I said, were you thinking about something about pizza? And she said, what? She said, yes. That was, I mean, it may sound simple, but it happened.